Well, this one of the things that we ask the state team and the local teams to do is always think out of the box. And even we were not cats to the litter box. We were really needing to think outside of our roles. What we did was we developed, with those agencies that I mentioned from the state level, we developed a state outreach team. The state outreach team got into a van and went to all 12 of those areas on different days. And we'd find out what kind of planning was happening at the local level. We also were wondering what kind of barriers they were running into. Usually they were funding and statute and other kinds of programmatic barriers that they thought existed or that did exist. And the state people would ride back in the van after these conferences and talk about solutions to the problems. We were able to solve a lot of problems. It was the most productive meetings that I ever attended were in those vans. And we were able to resolve different issues and really get the piece moving. The van rides and the community planning really reminded me of this. We look in our own maze, and all we see are problems and barriers. If we huddle together and really have those conversations, whatever those conversations are, we can figure out a solution on standing on each other's shoulders. The other thing I learned was that, as Mrs. Smokey the Bear is saying, only I can prevent forest fires? Don't you think you should share some of the responsibility? Mental health thought they could do it all themselves. I was one of those people that thought you could do it, in the magic of the 50-minute hour or the home visit or whatever. But in the early childhood system of care, I realized all we were going to do, at best, is to empower and train and educate the people that take care of our kids, to take care of them in more informed and better ways. What we learned is that the mental health system needs to develop some different services. Consultation without the identified client. The fact that we could go into a situation and a child care center, a pediatric office, and provide mental health consultation and not have to be on behalf of a client. We also learned that any training needs to be cross-training, and that we really need to support and train the people that take care of our young ones. It was really a mental health advocacy project that we got on in Vermont that a whole bunch of people signed on, even mental health, was that we needed an adequate wage for child care workers, that people could make more money flipping burgers than taking care of our kids. What else did we learn? We learned there were different places to serve, that we need to be in child care. We need to be supporting child care. We need to be in family resource centers. We call them parent-child centers. And we need to be in pediatric practices. That story said that we need mental health consultation in pediatric offices. We need psychiatric consultation in pediatric offices. That's where people go. We need to be where people are. Technical assistance. I want to just go through this. Briefly. The technical assistance, we had a grant, and we were supposed to hire a TA person. Well, being the bureaucrat that I was, I wanted to hire a person that could really run a good TA system. And after hours and hours of talking to different people, I got one response to the application for a TA person, and that was we needed to hire a consortium of people that represented early childhood or mental health, and that no one person could do the TA. And I said, well, how am I going to write the contract? And I was thinking bureaucratically, but this was probably one of the best moves we ever made. we did figure out how to do the contract, and what we had people representing every part of the early childhood system, representing what needs to be trained, what kind of supervision is needed, identifying core competencies. We developed booklets that develop core competencies for anybody working in early childhood. We developed another book, a CUP's handbook for the clinical people working in early childhood. We provided a lot of work in getting the family organizations together on early childhood, and we explored higher education and in-service training opportunities. Just a number of activities came out of there where we were really looking at how do we get a trained workforce. We realized when we got this grant there was nobody that was trained to do this work. Steeped in developmental knowledge, steeped in mental health, there were two different directions. We had to train people ourselves, and that was a real awakening call about what the state of the field was in.